They are after your kids. Both the laws, what's happening with the school curriculum, as well as what's happening with the Hollywood, with Disney, what's happening with the enemy. There's a demonic agenda to try to take our children. In fact, a lot of what's happening in our culture, some people cannot have children, so what they want to do is they want to indoctrinate everybody else's children. Why is that happening? Because God has a specific purpose and a plan for your children. First, what I see is we see the laws that are being made to take away kids. The main laws are, of course, happening in Washington State and in California. In Washington, the Senate Bill 5599, the bill would allow the state to legally hide runaway children from their parents if the parents don't consent to the child's gender transition or abortion. No allegation of abuse in the household is required. This bill also applies to children from other states who may travel thousands of miles for such a procedures not available to them at home, cementing Washington as a sanctuary state for runaway teenagers. And we know already abuses that are happening at these places where people cannot report it to anybody because they go hide there, but in reality, it's not a hiding place. It's just demonic agenda to take away children from their parents. California has a similar law, AB 665, that undermines parental rights and gives therapists, interns, and trainees at welfare agencies the power to take away children from their parents without due process. This applies to children 12 and older. Massachusetts is seeking to establish a similar law. A Massachusetts government agency has recommended that the governor and the legislature pass a child abuse law to target parents who deny their LGBTQ children gender transition related health care. So not only the law we see is being made to pull the kids away, but I want you to notice second thing is that in communism, the government would raise your kids. And I think that this demonic thing has happened before and it is happening now. Karl Marx, in his Communist Manifesto, called for abolition of the family. He said that abolition of the family, even the most radical flare up at this infamous proposal of the communists. Pretty much, let's destroy the family. Alexandra Kollontai, the Soviet Union's first People's Commissioner for Welfare, said the old family, narrow and petty, where the parents quarrel and are only interested in their own offspring, is not capable of educating the new person, meaning the communist person. Friedrich Engels, in his Principles of Communism, said the following: education of all children from the moment that they leave their mother's care in the national establishments at national cost. What does that mean? That means that children don't belong to you, children belong to the government. That was really the Soviet Union's mantra, to raise children. Because if you indoctrinate the children, you control the future. The other part is the gay agenda, the indoctrination of children, the sex education for social change. The gay agenda is part of the broader sexual indoctrination using the communist doctrine of free love to destroy the nuclear family and Judeo-Christian values. No opt-out laws remove the ability of parents to remove their kids from sex ed. California and Illinois have these laws, meaning your kids cannot be removed from being brainwashed by cultural garbage. If you check the PDF document, which is a very thorough combination of everything that is happening with our generation when it comes to kids, especially in schools, you will see that some schools already teach children that they could be born in the wrong body. Young teens are being shown videos with techniques how to pleasure their sexual partners, and this is happening in school. They're not being taught skills that actually they need, but instead they're being educated in pretty much how to have sex. Students are also being told how to get their secret abortions without telling their parents. The LGBTQ movement demands that homosexual relationships are presented to children as good, as healthy, and equal in every way to heterosexuality within man-woman relationship. Many sex ed developers and providers are too happy to comply, meaning elevate the homosexual relationship, which goes against biology, which go against the scripture, theology, and portray it as equal and as healthy as the heterosexual relationships between man and the woman as God created. Preschoolers in Illinois are taught that two mommies are called lesbians. In Austin, Texas, schools introduce sexual orientation and gender identity concepts to third graders. Disney does a great job to reinforce that education through movies. Disney executive producer admits to gay agenda, adding queerness to whatever that she can. There was also an article of Disney being exposed, leaked videos that show officials pushing LGBT agenda, saying that DeSantis wants to erase gay kids. So not only are we seeing laws being made to take away children, we're seeing also teachings being pushed on children that are sexual and that are perverted and anti-biblical. But school curriculum goes even further. There's a heavy anti-Christian agenda that is being pushed in our schools. Since 1962, U.S. Supreme Court removed school-sponsored prayer from public schools. In 1963, U.S. Supreme Court banned organized Bible reading for religious and moral instruction. We see a push of evolution instead of creation. Evolution is a dominant teaching in public schools. When you teach students that they came from monkeys and they're no different but evolved apes, you shouldn't be surprised if then you have to supplement the teachings on sexuality. Instead of teaching them about abstinence, we hand out condoms. Our schools, they teach people on how to have safe sex instead of saving them for sex until they get married. Why is that? Because animals are ruled by their biology. They are ruled by their sexuality. And if you teach a generation long enough that they are glorified animals, we shouldn't be surprised if they act like those animals. If they portray those angers and they portray that lust and all of that perversion. Why? Because after all, you're an animal and your desires, your cravings, your lust, and your biology and whatever comes into your head should dictate your decisions, and you're just a passive observer. And that's what's happening with our culture. Another thing that started to push heavily in our schools is CRT. It's the critical race theory. CRT is a well-documented understanding that systemic racism exists at the very foundation of our country and continues to shape our lives today, to the detriment of Black, Asian, Latin, or other people of color, and to the benefit of white people. In other words, children are being taught they're either oppressed or the oppressor, good or bad, based solely on the color of their skin. Their race determines their outcome in life. An American system of government must be replaced and removed because it's pushing this oppression on people. So instead of children trying to do better in school, they're focused now on their color of skin and play a victim, or they're being blamed as being an oppressor at the children's age solely based on their color of skin. And this is a lie, and it's wrong, and it's demonic. Why am I referencing communism? Because Black Lives Matter leaders are trained Marxists. Eric Mann is influential partly because he recruited Patrisse Cullors, who's one of the founders of BLM, into his Labor Communist Strategy Center in Los Angeles at the age of 17. He then trained her there for 10 years on how to be a Marxist organizer. So then this lady herself and her other co-founder, Alicia Garza, they themselves said they are trained Marxists. That's why the Black Lives leaders are anti-family. In fact, they even said that in one of their guiding principles, that we are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. It has nothing to do really about racism. It all has to do about attacking the nuclear family structure. That's exactly what communists wanted as well. Indoctrinate children, take away the children from parents. Parents shouldn't be raising their kids because, I mean, what do they know? We should raise the kids. The government should raise the children to be the carriers of their propaganda. It's not only something that was happening with the communism, but these Marxist demonic ideas are infiltrating our generation. Thank you for watching this video.